Hi, my name is Leah Day, and welcome to Quilt Along number 40 on the Free Motion Quilting Project. This week we're continuing our goal to bust through our quilts very quickly, and this time we're going to cover sections with large flowers. The neat thing about this is you can make the flowers as big or as small as you want. You can overlap them. You can stick them in the corners and expand them in the middle of the quilt. You can start in the middle and stretch them all the way out. Really, the sky is totally the limit. And you can see I actually used 2 in the corner of this quilt. So you don't even have to quilt them over the whole quilt. Just maybe throw a couple in here and there and knock out big sections so the rest of the quilt is easy to finish. Let's get on the machine and see how this works. So we're working on a new corner of the Batik Beauty quilt, and again you can use this idea of stitching humongous flowers over your whole quilt, over a small section of your quilt. It really doesn't matter. This is just going to be a really fun, beautiful way of filling your quilt. And you can already see I've gotten started by stitching a circle, and this is our starting point, and we're going to radiate out from there with all of our petals. And I've stitched 1 petal. Now if you really want to be obsessive compulsive about this and get it perfect, you can create a freezer paper template. Just take a piece of freezer paper, draw half of your teardrop petal shape, fold it in half, draw the opposite side so you have a symmetrical shape, cut it out, and then you can mark all of these petals. Personally, I don't do that simply because it's time consuming. Instead, I just use a ruler and kind of guesstimate and draw 1 petal on the quilt, and I've stitched that already. Now I'm going to use this 1 petal as kind of a template for all the rest of them, because this is an overlapping flower. So I'm just going to kind of overlap and come in here and then branch out with the rest of my petal shape, and it'll be really easy to form these without marking. So let's get started. Now zoom in here just a little bit so you can see better. And I'm just going to come in with my line and overlap about 1/2 inch. Once you get that overlap, then you can swing around to form the top of the petal. And at this point I really can't see this area behind, so I'm going to swing it around. There will be some rotation with this kind of a design, simply because it's so big, and in order to see you're going to have to move and shift the quilt quite a bit. So I'm going to form another petal shape just the exact same way. I'm just stitching up, overlapping that shape. Now I'm going to swing kind of out and around to bring it around to make that nice curve. And then rotate 1 more time to bring it back to the starting point. Let's form just a few more petals this exact same way. I'm going to back it up so you can see the movements that the quilt's making. One thing that may help as you form your giant sunflower on your quilt is to quilt the kind of cross shape, the vertical and horizontal petals, and then you can easily place a diagonal petal right in the middle of the two. So here's my starting petal over here and the last one I just stitched, and I'm going to quilt a diagonal petal right here and then fill in more overlapping to fill in the remaining space. And this really helps because it helps give you a guide and really space the petals out very nicely and evenly. So I have this space now between the diagonal petal and this one, and I'm just going to fill this space in with 2 right here. So it makes it a lot quicker and easier to fill these shapes in without marking. So that's what it looks like when you cover your quilt with a giant sunflower. So that's it for this video. I really hope it's helped you see how to form some beautiful big bold flower shapes with minimal marking. You know, marking is one of those things that really takes a lot of time, and that's time away from quilting, especially if you've got a project that needs to be finished very, very quickly. This is a good design to try. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be perfect. If your flower has some wonky petals, no one's going to notice it. It's really not that big of a deal. Of course, if you have issues, if you struggle with this design, if you're struggling with anything with free motion quilting, make sure to ask questions in the comments of either the blog post or the video and get the help that you need. I'm using a lot of tools in these videos that you might see. I'm using a Supreme slider and gloves and awesome isocord thread. If you're interested in any of those tools, definitely check out the Free Motion Quilting Project. We have a shop, and that's at daystyledesigns.com. You can pick up those tools. That'll make a huge difference for free motion quilting on your domestic sewing machine. You can also find a lot of tips, a lot more videos at the Free Motion Quilting Project. You can quilt along with us, share your progress, and see what other quilters are doing with these designs as well. So find all of that and more at freemotionproject.com.